I just wanted to do a quick video on with some tips maybe for helping you change out a battery in a Chevy Volt. I have a 2011 and I just put a battery out of a 2014 in there, and I did it all myself in my shop. These are some of the tools you'll need besides metric deep sockets and regular sockets. You'll need metric wrenches, some screwdrivers, pry bars. You'll need a good set of jack stands. They'll need to be able to lift at least 22 inches. You can find the jacking points in your service manual. There's actually there's about 8 spots where you can jack them from, 4 in the front and 4 in the back. Anyway, you need some jack stands. You'll need 2 floor jacks. You need some wooden blocks. And then these are the dollies I put the battery on from Harbor Freight to move it around. You start with blocks like this and drive your front wheels up. You put one set of blocks like that on each side. Those are 2 by 10s. You can probably get by with narrower ones. And anyway, you drive your tires up on that to get enough clearance to get the floor jack under there. Then I made these. There's that pinch seam on the edge, and in the front and the back. In the front, right behind the front wheel, and in the back, right in front of the back wheel, there's a cutout in that plastic body side molding. And you can access the pinch seam there and put this in there. So it'll lift up the whole thing. The seam, this is, it would probably be better to make these, this is half inch, and 5/8, but it would probably be better to make these 2 out of 5/8 and this one out of half inch or whatever. You can make it out 5/8 also. But that goes on your floor jack. So you can pinch or jack from those pinch seams. And then if your jack doesn't go high enough, then you may have to make some extra blocks to put in there to get it up high enough. And you need to be careful when you stack those. Do a good job so the weight's straight down on them so they don't shift. You may want to jack it up in a couple of sessions, like maybe one time go up with the jacks all the way down, and then the second time go up to the 22 inches you need. Anyway, that's what you need to get started. And then taking it down, it's just taking the bolts out and stuff. Before you take the bolts out though, one of the hard things is these 2 lines right here and right here. You have to pull the hoses out of there, and they're really hard to pull out. And I had a really tough time. I finally got them out, but I was thinking if you use a parachute cord and put a trucker's hitch on it, that you can catch the angle where they come in at an angle, and you can tie on there and actually pull them out. Maybe help the trucker's hitch, and with a pry bar, pry them out. This is my assistant, Mr. Pup. You'll have to unhook. Come on, Pup. You have to. Then you can unplug these 2. All these have clips on them that you have to pinch, to hold in. Anyway, unplug these 2. There'll be a small plug here you unplug, and then there's a bolt here that takes a 10 millimeter socket, and that you unscrew that and this will unplug. Then you got to unplug these 2 little plugs, and then you unplug these last 2. Like I said, and you can use this rope to help tie these lines back out of the way. And that'll be important when you're reinstalling the battery to get a little extra clearance in here, because there's not much room. There's before you can take the battery out, there's underbody panels that need to come out. They're held in with some screws and nuts. And then in the front here, there's a flashing that goes around the front up, and it where the exhaust pipe is, and it blocks all this. You have to take that out. And there's actually one, I think on this side here, there's another one here you have to take off maybe. Anyway, that'll get the battery out. Now what I did on mine to keep from having to program it is I actually used all the electric parts out of the battery pack, itself, on the 2014 battery. So you'll notice I have all these pulled off the top of the batteries, and I took this off. This is out of the 2014 battery. These are out of the 2014 battery, and I used the ones from this battery, this 2011 battery. And these are the balance boards, I believe, for doing cell balancing. And this is the one that has the control module in it and all the other stuff. It's got a pump in there, circulating pump. And anyway, that way, if you don't have a MDI2 or you don't have a VCX Nano and you don't have access to the SDS, because you have to pay for that from GM, then you can do all this without programming. And it should, if you do everything right, it should go without any codes. And it will have to relearn on its own, and it may take a month or two, but you can do it. When you reinstall, it's the same deal. You're going to have to fight these to get them in, and you can use pry bars or put a 2x4 in there to pry against, whatever you have to do to get them to move. There is an O-ring you have to be careful in there that you don't damage when you're putting the pipes back in. But you just reverse, start at the top and work down, do these last. After everything's bolted up, you'll have to add, once you're done, you'll have to add coolant to that tank. I usually, when I took them off, I used pans and caught it, and then you just discard that. So I used about a gallon of coolant, actually less, I think a little less, 7/8 or something of a gallon. But you can add coolant and just fill the tank up all the way to the top. And then once you reconnect your 12-volt battery, you can go in and turn the car on and have the hood up and make sure you don't have any codes pop up. And once you start it up, it's going to start the pump. It's going to start the circulating pump in here, circulating coolant, and it's going to start bubbling up all the air bubbles out of there. And so you have to stay on top of that, otherwise that tank will run out and it'll throw a code. And if it gets low and throws a code, then you're going to need equipment to clear the code. So make sure that doesn't happen. And you just leave it in the car in the on position, and eventually after 10 minutes or so, it'll quit bubbling. But this battery was really bad in this one. I would go about 8 miles before it'd swap over to running on gas. And that was because they did a capacity relearn on it. And after it actually reset from that relearn, it wouldn't run on electric at all, anything over 20 miles an hour. If you're going anything faster than 20, it would start running on the gas engine. So anyway, the new battery I got in there is a lot better. Looks like it's going to have about 30 during the winter. Maybe I can get 37 out of it during the summer. We'll see. But anyway, that's how I did it. Is I didn't swap the whole battery. I just took all the electronics off this battery and put them on the 14 battery. That way it didn't know it was getting a new battery. The car doesn't know, because it only sees the electronics and it just thinks it's at a different state. The reason I left this off is this pan that all that sets on, it has actually studs welded to the bottom that go through these holes here. And so the 2014 one didn't have the studs. And on one side, they're kind of close to the cells, and I didn't want to drill holes into the cells. So I didn't put that on. I think I'll put it back on now that I've looked at this again. I think I can just make a little spacer in here or something for this difference here, and just put a spacer in there, and I can still screw it in. I'll just have to move it over some. But that's it. There's no reason me showing you the bottom of the car. It's just bolts, you know. I think they're, a 15 millimeter and like a 13 millimeter, I think, are the two sizes. The ones back here are smaller, and then the rest of them are like 15 millimeter. But that's it. So you can do it at home in your shop, but you got to have the tools. You got to have 2 floor jacks. Maybe if you don't have 2, you can, if you got 1, you can borrow 1 from a friend or something. But anyway, that's it. See ya. I just wanted to add a couple more things I forgot. Is the coolant you want, it may look like this or may not. I think this is a dealer only container. But you'll want the AC Dexcool or AC Delco Dexcool pre-mix 50/50 and get the stuff that's already pre-mixed. Don't mix it yourself because it has to be mixed with deionized water. Okay, that was one deal. And then I want to tell you about the balance points too. From underneath where this T is, my 1 floor jack went right in here about, and then the other one went like halfway through this battery, like right in here, between these 2 here, I think. Yeah, probably right in through here. And those are good balance points. This bottom is a little flimsy. It's not too bad with the case on the top of it, but you need to support it, and that'll kind of balance it. If you get this here, and this one, if you put it like the floor jack right at this T, that seems to balance well so it doesn't flex much. Anyway, that was something I wanted to add. That's it.